G'day everyone, my name's Cautious Pancake, and today we're talking 7 Days to Die and Zombie Rage Mode, and some tactics that I think we can use to stop zombies rage moding your base to rubble. Now the reason we're talking about this is back in August I put out a video for my AFK Lemming Tower where a bunch of people asked a variety of questions that all came down to, okay, but what about the Rage Mode? For those not already familiar, Rage Mode, or Destroy Area Mode, is a status that the zombie AI has a chance of going into after the zombie takes some fall damage while in the process of pathing towards the player in 7 Days to Die. Commonly, it happens when you've got a base that includes a drop. After taking a fall or a stumble, zombies have a chance to go into the Rage Mode and start smashing on random base blocks. To avoid Rage Mode, the two most common methods I've seen people use are: firstly, electric fences. Typically, we see them on pit drop bases, but can be used anywhere, where the zombies fall through an electric fence and the debuff shock damage has a chance of resetting Rage Mode. And second, water, where a swimming pool is used to stop the zombies going into Rage Mode due to breaking the stumble fall mechanic that triggers it. There are other strategies to mitigate the impact of Rage Mode, like zombie force fields to keep them away from important parts of your base, or even just extra cladding blocks to reinforce areas that they are likely to target. But these are focused on reducing the impact of Rage Mode rather than preventing it. So, what do I want to add to all of this? Well, given that the Lemming Tower base has no electric fences and no water, but also didn't seem to have any Rage Mode, I wanted to dig into the design to see if we could figure out what makes it tick and why there doesn't appear to be any Rage Mode at all, and then see if we can apply that to other base designs. For those that haven't seen the original video, here's a quick recap. Zombies run up this path that is suspended out from the main column, hit the diagonal railing blocks and jump over them. They then hit the ground, ragdoll, and run back up over and over again. As you can see, they don't go into Rage Mode or attack anything. When looking at the likely causes, I came up with 3 possibilities. First, the cause of the fall, being that the zombies jump rather than getting knocked off or falling off a small block. Second, the height of the fall, and more specifically that they always ragdoll from that height. And third, the distance between the zombie and me. Is it too far away and they prioritize running back to get to my level rather than raging? So the goal for today is to test each of these factors and see if we can determine what combination results in the lack of Rage Mode that we saw in the original video, and if we can get that far, how can we apply it to other bases? So first up, the cause of the fall. This one is a relatively easy one to test. If the jumping over the railing is the cause of Rage Mode prevention, then we can just set up another mini base using the same pathway and see if any zombies go into Rage Mode, and if they do, we know that jumping over the railing is not the cause of preventing Rage Mode. As you can see, I've cut the top section of the Lemming Tower off, and since each fall only has a chance of triggering Rage Mode, it doesn't happen every time. After a bunch of attempts, you can see here that Bo's gone into Rage Mode after a fall and ragdoll, which means that jumping over the railing alone doesn't prevent zombies going into their rage. It also means that the second possibility of preventing Rage Mode through falls that cause a ragdoll is also busted. So for the third possible cause, we need to test if the distance between myself and the zombies makes a difference. For this, I've taken a bigger bite off the top of the tower so that we can gradually move down and test different distances to see if that changes anything. Starting from the top of the tower, you can see that none of the zombies are getting triggered into Destroy Area Mode. Moving down a railing and trying again, you can see that there's still no change. Finally, let's try the bottom railing, and here's where we start to see Rage Mode starting to trigger again. So that pretty much confirms that distance for the player to the zombies is a key factor in Rage Mode triggering. The trick now is to work out what that distance is. To do that, I've built a row of killing corridors, each one a block higher off the ground than the previous one, starting from 5 blocks high, going through to 10, to run through some tests and see if there's anything that we can pinpoint. The plan is to start off on the 6 block high base, and jump in 2s, then come back and do the odd numbers if we need to dial things in. Starting off here on the 6 block high base, we've got 4 zombies cruising around, one of which is already in Destroy Area behind the pillar. But let's just run a few scenarios to see what happens. I don't know what Bo's doing at the top there. He seems to just decided to go attack, and there we go. We've got Arlene down the bottom in Rage Mode. Let's give it another minute or two and see if anybody else triggers. There we go. Got the businessman also in Rage Mode. So confirmed that at a height of 6 blocks, we do have Rage Mode happening. Moving up to the 8 block high base, let's see what happens here. They'll run through and fall down. Businessman was already in, so we're going to ignore him for now. But there we go. We've immediately got both the biker and Bo off in rage mode immediately. So I think we can confirm for the 8 block high base that that's all working as well. Moving on to the 10 block high base. Got our usual 4 zombies in just to test things through. Take their falls. Running back around, nothing triggered on the first pass through. Trying again for the second, everybody falls down. And what do we have? Can't see anyone on this one either. So it could be that we've hit our limit, or at least it's getting harder to trigger. Give it a bit longer. Got a destroy area up the top, and while we were looking at there, we've also got businessman in destroy area at the bottom. So at 10 blocks, it's still triggering, although it's starting to get, oh no, there we go. I was about to say it's starting to get harder and harder to trigger, but just as I'm saying that, they're starting to all trigger through destroy area, so that's good. 10 blocks, still going. Alright, now since we know that things are still working at 10 blocks, let's just add in an extra one here when we move the player, myself, up to the 11th block, and we'll keep that test running. Same for zombies. And let's see what happens now. Fire off a shot just to make sure we've got everyone's attention. And Bo's gone into destroy area, but that was just as we were doing things, so I don't know whether we count that one or not. Let's give it a minute. It didn't take too many instances last time, but it did take a couple of cycles through. So we're not going to immediately call it. But they're so far not triggering. And there's both Biker and Arlene going into destroy area, but on the ramp. Now, businessman's stuck, which isn't really relevant, so we'll just ignore him for the moment. How's everybody else doing? Arlene's going off to the other base for some reason. Ah, she's in destroy area. But again, not really on the bottom. Biker's just stuck, I think. So I think at 11 we're starting to see some different behaviour where the destroy area is more targeted at the ramp rather than the pillars at the bottom. So I think this might be our limit where it flips from the usual destroy area at the bottom up to some different behaviour. So I think 11 blocks is our key cutoff for the first rule of avoiding destroy area mode. Now that we know how to stop zombies going into rage mode at the bottom of your pillar base, how do we stop them going into rage mode when they get within 11 blocks of the player up on the top of the ramp? This monstrosity that I've built now is designed to test that by creating a long path that should hopefully allow the zombies to go into rage mode, but by the time they get all the way around through this little path to the player, they've finished their countdown delay time on rage mode and therefore will not do any damage to the base. Let's give it a run and see what happens. Starting with our usual 4 zombies running around the path. I possibly could smooth out those blocks that they jump up to prevent them falling down, but that'll be a good extra test of zombies falling down and potentially going into rage mode through a fall off the side of the base. As you can see, they just run around here, come down, drop, fall, everything's exactly the same. They just take a little while to get back. Doesn't look like anybody's in rage mode just yet. Give them a couple of cycles through to see how it goes. Oh, here we go. Just pausing things for a second. You can see the bikers in destroy area with a delay time of 12 seconds. So that's how long we've got to watch. And see if that timer expires before he gets around. Oh, and of course he falls down just to mess with things, but we'll see whether he attacks anything down the bottom there. He's a little confused, but no, he's just going to run back and cycle around. So that's good. good sign that any zombie going into rage mode will not attack the base and will prioritize trying to get back up to the top. Also got here Arlene, who's just got 3 seconds left on destroy area. Let that run out and see what she does. Just continues running, that's good. And hopefully just runs straight off the edge. Perfect. Alright, looking good. Let's see who's coming around now. We've got Bo in destroy area with 7.25 seconds remaining. Hopefully that's not too close. No, should be fine. There we go. And we've also got Businessman. And let's see what Bo does. Straight off the edge. And Businessman also straight off the edge. So obviously this isn't the most good looking or effective base that you're going to use on Horde Night, but it does display the concept of what we're trying to do here. Once you've got your base at 11 blocks or higher, the rage mode that triggers on the zombies is no longer effective at destroying the bottom sections of your base. And if you build a pathing setup that requires the zombies to take 15 seconds or more, which I think is roughly the maximum delay time on rage mode, that will stop them from going into rage mode at any point and allow them to just cycle through, and you are done with rage mode. Now, to give things a final test, I ran a Horde Night with all default settings, and at the end of it there was a grand total of 3 rage modes, causing a tiny bit of damage to each of the blocks they targeted. Having said that, and here's the disclaimer, while I'm pretty happy that this works and reduces the number of rage modes to almost nothing, there's still the potential for zombies to attack your base due to rough edges that they can get caught on and annoyed, or when the pathing rules don't work and they decide it's faster to just smash through a wall, they will still do so. So it's not a completely magic bullet, but it does reduce the number of rage mode incidences down to almost nothing. At least on the bases that I've tested, and that's where you guys come in. While I don't think it is wise to just copy this and hope for the best, if you do have a chance, please give this a shot next time you're building a base. Go 11 or more blocks high, either attached to a tall building or do it yourself if you've got the materials, and use a long pathway for the zombies to get to you, using a mix of pathing, blocks to slow them down as they jump, and traps as needed to ensure that it takes 15 or more seconds for them to path back to within 11 blocks of you. Alternatively, you could make it so that the drop point is more than 11 blocks away from you so that they never get within 11 blocks if you've got more of a sniper build. I'm really keen to hear how this goes for you all, as maybe there are some designs out there that this doesn't work for, and please drop me a comment below if you have any ideas or situations that I've overlooked or need further investigation. Otherwise, thanks for watching this video. Please give it a like if you found it useful, and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like it in the future.
Ooh.